The term hippies comes from the word hip, which means aware of or knowing. The nickname hippie was given to the younger college students that looked up to the beatniks in the Haight-Ashbury neighborhood in San Francisco. The beatniks were those that rejected a conservative society from the 1950s to the 1960s. The hippies practiced free love, spiritualism, Eastern religion, alternative medicine, and astrology. They also introduced vegetarianism and environmentalism to society. The hippie movement started in San Francisco, California, and eventually spread across the U.S., Canada, and into parts of Europe. In the 60s, there were 70 million teenagers and young adults in America. Those between the ages of 15 and 25 began to reject their parents' ideas. Others just wanted to get away or were outcasts in their community and would only fit in if they joined the hippie society. Many of the hippies came from the wealthier middle-class families. Instead of living in houses, hippies often lived in communes. A commune is a small group of people that live together in an unconventional lifestyle and share everything with each other. The most common commune was in Buena Vista Park. The hippies would stay here all night and would socialize, sing, smoke marijuana, and dance during the day. Marijuana and LSD were very common in the hippie movement. Before the 1960s, only a few hundred people had tried marijuana, but between the 60s and 70s, that number jumped to 8 million people, the majority in their teenage years. Many hippies made the claim that LSD put them in touch with their surroundings. However, quite often they would get bad LSD and would experience a freakout or a bad trip. Do you think this stopped them from using it? Of course not. They enjoyed the sensation they got from the drugs. One man by the name of Ken Kesey traveled around in a psychedelic bus and gave out LSD to anyone that wanted it. Along with drugs, music was also very important to the hippies. They held many festivals and would spend the time singing and dancing. There was one festival called the Trips Festival that was held at Golden Gate Park. This festival was a week long and was thrown in celebration of the LSD experience. Another famous celebration they had took place in 1969 in Woodstock, New York, and later became known as Woodstock. This festival was 3 days long and involved listening to folk music, acid rock, psychedelic rock, and blues music all day long. The hippies would sing, dance, drink, smoke pot, make love, and enjoy the company of each other all day. Many hippies used music as a way to get their thoughts and ideas out. An important artist of the 60s, Bob Dylan, sang the song "Like a Rolling Stone." One of the lines of this song says, "How does it feel to be without a home, like a complete unknown, like a rolling stone?" Many hippies felt this song expressed their thoughts and that he was kind of like a spokesman for their beliefs. Other artists sang songs referring to marijuana and LSD. Jimi Hendrix wrote the song "Purple Haze" about marijuana, and the Beatles wrote the song "Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds" about LSD. Another band called the Grateful Dead wrote the song "Casey Jones," which contains phrases like "high on cocaine" and "you better watch your speed" in his lyrics. The styles of the hippies were not very formal. They often wore unisex clothing or sometimes went without clothing. They wore love beads, bell-bottoms, granny glasses, sandals, flowing silhouettes, and ethnic clothing. The majority of their stuff was second-hand clothes or clothing that was handmade. The hippies took over the Haight-Ashbury district and spread their beliefs throughout this area. Hippies would often put a nickel into a parking meter and would then set up blankets and pillows and would lay down in that parking space until the time was up. Many people across America were outraged at how these people were acting. A television show known as Laugh-In made fun of the hippies' way of life. They didn't like that the hippies were party animals, didn't save their virginity until the marriage, and that they weren't conservative. Hippies used musical shows, pacifist folk songs, sit-ins, and protests to express their feelings for the Vietnam War and for the Civil Rights Movement. In order to maintain a pacifist philosophy, the hippies protested the war with nonviolent demonstrations that included burning draft cards, sit-ins, and protests. They held one protest in Washington, D.C. that gathered 250,000 protesters. Those that weren't hippies, such as students, intellectuals, radicals, and other citizens, even came to protest as well. All of these people wanted the troops in Vietnam to be sent back home to the United States. The hippies threw hundreds of rallies, and 65% of the U.S. population agreed with their views about the war. In 1969, the president finally agreed to bring the troops home. Hippies also fought for racial equality in the United States.
How I love my hippie life. What a far out trip. In my heart is love for others, all my sisters and my brothers. How I love my hippie life.
How I love my hippie life.
barefoot on cement.
Barefoot on cement.
Brother, can you spare a quarter? Care to share some marijuana? Oh, we're gonna change the world, at least we're gonna try. We're gonna take this low-down world and make it high, high, high. Lift it up to see the light.
Lift it up to see the light.
Open up its heart. Try to end its stress and strife.
Turn it on to hippie life.
How I love my hippie life. How I love my